Dwayne, and today I'd like to look at scales galore. All of what I was just playing and everything you play is based on a scale of some sort. The word scale comes from the Latin la scala, which means a ladder of notes that runs from one note up to the octave note, octavo, 8 higher, octopus, 8, okay? So that's the confines of a scale. La scala, the scale, okay? Now there's major scales and there's minor scales and there's chromatic scales and there's whole tone scales and there's pentatonic scales and then there's the modes. We won't get into the modes today, but we'll look at all the other kinds of scales. So let's take a look at a major scale and see what it's made out of. If I start on a given note, let me start on B. The formula for a major scale is to go up a whole step and then another whole step and then a half step and a whole step, whole step, whole step, half step. So B major scale has those 5 sharps. Why? Because I have to go up a whole step, not a half step. That's the formula for a major scale. Now that's very easy to see when you're starting on C, because whole step, half step, whole step, whole step, whole step, half step. All the notes are white, aren't they? White keys. So it's easy to see. But you get anywhere else and you have to think about, am I going up a whole step or a half step? So if I start on B flat, whole step above B flat is C, whole step to D, half step to E flat, whole step to F, whole step, B flat. So that's the B flat major scale. And when I'm playing in the key of B flat, I'm basing my playing on that scale. And typically, most of the chords that I play in B flat will be based on that scale. Okay. If I'm playing in the key of A, same thing. Whole step, half step, whole step, half step. So the key of A has those 3 sharps, C sharp, F sharp, and G sharp, because of that rule of whole steps and half steps, okay? So there's 12 possible major keys you can play in. You can play in the key of C, you can play in the key of D flat, you can play in the key of D, you can play in the key of E flat, you can play in the key of E, you can play in the key of F, you can play in the key of F sharp or G flat, you can play in the key of G, you can play in the key of A flat, you can play in the key of A, you can play in the key of B flat as just mentioned, and you can play in the key of B. Okay, so there's 12 possible major keys you can play in. Now, in addition to major scales, there are minor scales. And there's 3 kinds of minor scales, and I don't want to confuse you with that. I'll just mention there's the harmonic minor scale, the melodic minor scale, and the natural minor scale. But most of the music that we use here in the United States, anyway, in the Western Hemisphere, is based on the harmonic minor scale, which is based on a minor third, a lowered third, a lowered sixth, and then a step and a half up to the 7th. So here's the formula. Whole step, half step, whole step, half step, step and a half. See the step, not a whole step, but a step and a half, and then a half step. And that's what gives this the minor key is sound. So if I play in the key of C minor, it has a different feel than when I play in the key of major, because of that flatted third, flatted sixth, and the step and a half there. Okay, so if there's 12 major scales, then there's 12 minor scales as well. Then I won't go through those, but you get the idea. Then there's a chromatic scale. Chromatic means they're all half steps. And so you just play the next note, whatever it is. By the way, when you play a chromatic scale, try to use your thumb on the white notes as much as possible, because use your long fingers on the black keys. I like to use my 3rd finger. You can use your 2nd finger or 4th, whatever you want, but I like the 3rd finger. So it's thumb, 3rd, thumb, 3rd, thumb, 2nd, because we don't have a black key there. 3rd, thumb, 3rd, thumb, 3rd, thumb, and you can end on whatever you want, okay? So that's a chromatic scale, all half steps. And of course, all chromatic scales are the same. The C chromatic scale is the same as the B chromatic scale, is the same as the B flat chromatic scale. In other words, they're all the same because they're all half steps, okay? Then there is the whole tone scale, and that's just a reverse of a chromatic scale. You go up a whole step each time. If you start on C, you go up a whole step, another whole step, another whole step, another whole step, another whole step, and another whole step. So if I start on C, okay, so you have that kind of feeling when you have a whole tone scale. And then there are pentatonic scales. Penta means 5, of course, so it's a 5-note scale. And here's the formula for it. You start on a given note and you go up a whole step, another whole step, then you go up a step and a half, and then a whole step. And so it's like the root, second, third, fifth, and sixth of a major scale. You can look at it that way. And you get sort of that. The pentatonic scale is used widely in Oriental music, and so if you hear that kind of sound, it's hard to make a mistake if you're just dealing with those notes, okay? And another easy way to play the pentatonic scale is just play all the black keys. Root, second, third, fifth, sixth. Just all the black keys. So if I played in the key of pentatonic scale, just use the black keys, I would have that sound. So you can do a variety of things with a pentatonic scale, a 5-note scale. So that's it for today. Major scales made out of whole step, half step, whole step, half step. Minor scales have a flat third, flat sixth, and then that step and a half. Chromatic scales are all half steps, and whole tone scales are all whole steps. And then pentatonic scales made out of the root, second, third, fifth, and sixth of any major scale. So that's it for today. If you enjoy this sort of thing, come on over to playpiano.com and sign up for our free newsletter. We put out things like this most every day, and so hope to see you there. So bye-bye for now.